Hey, Katie. Oh my God. Are we really doing this?
We are. Welcome to Higher Downloads, where two moms, entrepreneurs, and spiritual seekers are getting real about doing our best to live life in alignment.
Yeah, and by getting real, we mean the raw, unfiltered voice memo version of ourselves.
And you know what we're really obsessed with lately: higher
hmm
downloads.
You know that moment when clarity arrives seemingly from nowhere? That's it. That's the higher download from your highest self.
Exactly, because we know everyone has the ability to access their own higher downloads. So nothing is off limits here. Everything in the wheel of life, from career, spirituality, motherhood, relationships.
Yep, everything. And really through the lens of higher consciousness and joy. And we have to share our higher downloads too, right? So grab your coffee
Or your crystals, or whatever you need to have fun with us.
and get ready to tune in to your own wisdom channel because receiving higher downloads means you can live your life in HD.
Higher downloads starts now.
We got some juicy topics today.
Ooh, this might be one of the juiciest, honestly, in our society. It can be real juicy or real dry, but we're going to talk about money.
Money, money, money.
Money and
Money.
wealth. Wealth too, not just money, I guess. Caveat that.
What if wealth isn't just about money?
What if they're not just exactly the same thing?
Did you ever believe they were?
I never thought about wealth. Wealth is a new construct to me. New in the grand scheme of things. For a long time, it was all just about money, like the paper and the money in the bank account.
Yeah.
And we live in a society, especially in America, that is so focused on money.
Hmm.
And I
Tell
know,
me about it.
yes. And we talk about all kinds of stuff on here, obviously, energy, even astrology, even basically everything.
We talk about everything on the wheel of life, and guess what is on the wheel of life?
Money.
Money and finance. Yep.
Fun money, finance, career, all those intertwined things. So, I mean, being spiritual or energetic focused does not exclude you or preclude you from the realist, the realistic capitalist society that exists.
And when I think about that, like when I really came to understand what capitalism is, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that's how the world works. But then you travel and you see there are other ways of being. You study history, you realize there were some other ways of moving about the world. And it's not like we're hating on capitalism because we also benefit from it.
Totally. And we're
And
playing the
yet,
game. We're out there playing the game.
we are. I think that's what made us want to start this podcast, right? We're like, we're two spiritually awakened women who are on this journey to see a different way, to operate at a higher consciousness, and yet we're in this 3D world because this is the game of life, the board game we got dropped into.
That's true. It is. It is. Well, and to think about it that way makes perfect sense because we're trying to operate in the surroundings that we're in the game that we got dropped into here, and also do it from an aligned and empowered, embodied, abundant place. So it's kind
Yeah,
of perfect.
it is. And speaking of money, I know we both have different upbringings, but for me, we almost just didn't even talk about it because it wasn't plentiful. So it was like the elephant in the room of,
Do you
and
mean growing up?
growing up, yeah, growing up, I'm in a much different place now. But yeah, growing up. And I even remember struggling to get enough quarters. There was a movie theater called the Dollar Cinema in my hometown, and literally, I don't even believe we they charged tax. Like you needed $1 to go, and like scrounging to see if I could get 4 quarters to go see at a movie with my friends.
That's wild. And
hmm
even just to think about just like inflation nowadays and how
Right?
I think I didn't understand the impact of inflation until now. I'm in my 30s, mid to late 30s. And I'm like, I've seen it in real time in my real life. I now fully understand it completely and it is wild. So,
It
yeah,
is.
there's so many
I
facets to it.
I was just thinking about like I passed by a gas station recently and looked at the price and I remembered I had a flashback when I first got my car, I paid 97 cents a gallon. And like that makes me sound so old.
It was, yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
No.
Okay, so money, 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 and I love money. I have a weird, I feel like I have a twisted, I love money, but it also drives me crazy and has put me in complete chaos in my life as well at different times. I would say I didn't, I had a family that, or one of my family members specifically really like to talk about money. We talked about money
Mhm.
a lot. Maybe in a, the baseline of talking about it wasn't the best, right? It was like somewhat scarce in the
Oh.
mindset around it, but it was still talking a lot about it. So in some ways that's good. In other ways, it's kind of been challenging.
So then I knew that about you. That was a part of our friendship that you shared. And then you tell me that your paradigm is shifting around money because you read a book.
I would say, I think I would have to go back a little bit. So
Oh,
let's,
okay.
yeah, I think the
Because
story
for
starts
me,
a little bit
okay, sorry.
earlier.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Okay, then walk me through it because for
Okay.
me, your paradigm shift around money, which then helped me understand and shift my paradigm around money, was a book that we'll talk about. But
Yeah.
then, okay, take us back. Take us
Yeah, all the
back.
way back. Okay, so I did learn about money growing up and saving and retiring and just it was talked about, but not from a place of like lots and lots of money in our lives, just from a place of like creating security with money and being smart about it. So I always appreciated that. But I found myself in my late 20s realizing that I had built my entire life around keeping money in my life. So I was doing a job that I was doing because it was the best opportunity to make the most money, or I was stuck with a job because I thought I had the most upward potential there. It
Mm,
wasn't like I was making my life around some other like purpose, or like money was so intrinsically tied to my choices and how I spent my time and what I did for fun and all of that, that it kind of became a point where I was obsessed, like to an unhealthy degree,
mm,
over fixating over it. How much am I making? How much am I keeping? How much am I saving? When am I going to get to free myself
mm,
and be free from this life that feels like a trap because I'm so making choices that are rooted in how to make money, not how to feel fulfilled or have great relationships or feel good and healthy in my body and all these things. So that was kind of like I woke up one day and realized like all this momentum around money and how it was dictating my life. Suddenly I had a whiplash moment of like, ugh, my health is going down. I'm miserable. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm not happy. And I realized that because it was so rooted in the money part, that I had to kind of flip it on its head for several years to get out of that momentum around building my life that way.
Oh, okay. Yes, that is very helpful context. And hearing you speak reminds me of the idea of I know your ultimate seeking was freedom and
Yes.
money as a mechanism to achieve freedom. And yet, hearing you talk, the feeling you had obsessing over money was anything but freedom.
It was a literal prison. And
Yeah.
what's crazy is I literally grew up living on the prison grounds. I was living, my father was a warden, and we lived at a prison for his job. And it's so funny when we talked about that and drew that analogy of like how wild that is, literally growing up in imprisonment around me visually in my material
Yeah,
world
the idea
and
of imprisonment, yeah,
and
being a
building my
visual.
own prison of my own making, which I do love that quote of like, we're so free, we can create our own prison.
Ugh, and how many times have I caught myself doing that? And as a transformation coach, when I do one-on-one coaching with executives or go into organizations and coach, how many times I can now see that humans do that.
They do. It's
We
literally
we
all
do. We do.
we do. That's right. Not they, we.
We do.
Yeah, so and then like you mentioned the book. So
Hmm.
I had kind of gone down this road. I knew it wasn't working. I made a lot of really drastic changes and really put myself in a lot of discomfort. I quit my job, my high-paying job. I did save up money. It wasn't like I just took this huge crazy risk. I was very calculated about it because I was
Of
so
course,
scared,
because you were so scared of money.
so scared that I would never make money again, right? Telling yourself all these stories. And then as I walked down that road and went down a whole different lifestyle with entrepreneurship and in real estate and meeting people that didn't have the same hangups around money, I started realizing there's this whole other path out there. And then that is when I, thank you, synchronicities with people in my life was brought this book, Happy Pocketful of Money. And that is the book that I read and had this light bulb moment of this book brings together all of these different concepts and paints the full picture, in my opinion, of abundance and wealth. And it's been a beautiful gift and a beautiful thing.
I don't know if I've told you this, but I remember standing in your kitchen and you pulled out your Happy Pocket Full of Money book with all its little tabs and things and folded, whatever, like it's your own little like reference book, Bible. And you were like, this book, you have to read it. And I remember being like, just like I said, like I almost grew up of like, I don't really want to talk about money. Like I don't really want to read about money. Like, yes, I'm in the business world. Yes, I very much care about money. But like of all the nonfiction I'm gonna read, I don't want to read more about what I should be saving or my 401k. Like I didn't really say that to you, but that's obviously what's going on in my mind. And then and then I read it because, well, you ended up bringing people together around it, and then
Yeah.
I wanted to be included, but I was not interested because,
It's so funny.
spoiler alert, it's about way more than money. And so the title's so misleading, actually.
It is it's kind of funny. What I love about the book and the title and all of it is like the front cover has like beautiful has like flowers on it, right?
Yes, yes.
It's not like dollar signs and
Oh, I meant to have it to show.
yeah, we'll share it, but it's not like that. And then it's Happy Pocket Full of Money. About wealth, and then it says something about wealth consciousness. And what I have found is that it either repels people or it brings people in for a different reason, and then they're kind of like, "Whoa, this isn't what I thought." Exactly.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
okay, so I in part of the book it talks about spreading the knowledge within this book, which spoiler alert, it is not about how to invest in stocks or anything about
Nope,
that.
nope, no
Maybe
401k.
there's maybe three lines about how to strategically do something with money. The rest of it is not about that at all. And in the book, it talks about part of the energy exchange around money is to go out in the world and share this knowledge that's in the book and the principles with the world. So I started a book club. We're an abundance circles, calling it kind of two things, where we basically met and covered every chapter of the book over a course of 7 or 8 months. And it was just a community circle where we went through the book and talked through every concept in detail. And it was pretty fun. I had fun.
It was a lot of fun. And I do remember, speaking of magnets and repellents, I do remember because you would put it on Meetup, so it was open to the public. And you were really curious about who it would attract, speaking of magnets. And this one sweet lady comes in, rolls in late, is like very, like, oh God, like, but don't worry. And then she, like, her first thing is like telling us about her job in finance, how she's really good at spreadsheets. She didn't get a chance to read the book because you were very clear in the thing, like, don't worry about if you haven't read it. Like, this is the non-book book club. Like, you can still participate. And she's like, haven't read the book, but I like love money and I'm in my job in finance. And it was so sweet because it was maybe our third or fourth meetup, and she was doing all the qualification about around the 3D idea of money and qualifying herself as someone who does spreadsheets in her finance job, and we're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So she was magnetized by, oh, maybe this is a group I could be around since I'm in the business of finance.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, well, we're going to find out if she's going to return.
Yeah.
Because it was about wealth consciousness, which we'll define. And then she did. She came back many, many times, and it's been really, really fun and beautiful. But that was an
Absolutely.
interesting magnet of the
It has
idea.
been really interesting to see how many people have just seen it and showed up and they have been perfect fits. So, and then there's also been other people that have been told about it several times and are like, no, I'm definitely not going to that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Fair.
that's like
That's so fair.
natural.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what
Okay.
is wealth consciousness? Like, how would you define it?
Yeah. So wealth consciousness is it's a way of being, it's a way of feeling, and it includes a lot of different things, a lot of tangible activities, but really it's the energy of how you feel about abundance and what's magnetizing for you, including money. Like this is like including money as a tangible thing in our world. Do you
Yeah.
have how what would you add to that?
Well, what I appreciated was you didn't say wealth consciousness is a mindset because
Mhm.
mindset is would be it would be an incomplete definition. What you said was it's a way of being.
Yes.
And that was the most important paradigm shift for me because I do a lot of mindset work in my leadership work. And so it was really important for me to distinguish what, and we did a whole episode on embodiment, but it's truly the embodiment of abundance and understanding that money is just a physical representation of another form of energy, another form of frequency. And, I'm like the nerd of my PhD. I love like all this stuff. And the idea that money is called currency and currency, a current. We have electrical currents, we have river currents, like, and that's just flow. And so when the book sets that up about the idea of it's just about a flow, then I'm reading the book and I'm having these flashbacks to going to Rome or other ancient cities I've been fortunate enough to visit, and remembering that the way that their economy and how they organized, how their flow of their civilization worked had bartering. It wasn't just always about coins or money. It was a flow of society and work. And so I was like, oh, that's right. Money is just another material form of flow and currency.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's not just mindset. Wealth consciousness it's a way of being and a way of acting
Acting,
and a
yes,
way of
yes.
doing. Very important piece of it is the actual acting, not just, brainwashing yourself with mantras over and over again, right? You have to actually act
Well, we're
and
fans of
feel it.
mantras, but yes,
Yes.
being, you said, say it again, being,
Being and then acting
yeah,
and then feeling it. It's also about, again, how you feel. And the feelings tell you, are you in the right mindset or are you able to act on in alignment with all of it? So, okay, happy pocket full of money. Absolutely awesome. And I love your comment about bartering and all of that because in our society, money has become so detached from the value. And money, all it is it represents value, it represents energy.
yes. And that was like the biggest aha and duh moment that I had in the book because
Absolutely.
you know how many times I felt called out in the book? Like I felt so called out. Like, but it was and yeah, about value and that the way you feel about money is the way you value inside of yourself. And I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
wait, what?
Yes. Okay.
What?
That was one of my biggest, yeah, that was one of my biggest core reframes in life. And this book really nailed that down for me and made it really clear is for a long time, like literally up until my 20s, I was operating from a place of money is an exchange of time, right? And what
Yes.
I like to say is that working that way is earning money the hard way. It's efforting. It's I just show up, I give you my time, and my time is you give me money for my time. Whatever time I give you, it's just a one for one exchange. But if you scratch that concept and just look at it as money is an exchange of value, it does not matter how long it takes. And what is the value to society, to the world, to your customers, to your investors, to whatever it is. And then it's exponential return. If it's valuable and you're adding value or creating value, like it's not a one for one.
Mm-mm.
Like money
No.
can come in a lot larger scale and a lot of different ways, not just based on where you are in time and how much time you're giving to it.
Where you are in time, where you are physically. There's I've heard this saying like floating around. It was like if you don't believe that value is subjective, then look at a bottle of water. And having just traveled to New York City, I can tell you that the value of a bottle of water on a hot July day in New York is much more than it would be like if you get it at the grocery store, right? Like, and then some places bottles of water are free. And so just like that was a funny thing. So the value being a clear thing and it doesn't have to be just a one-to-one trade-off is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, it changes where you go and what it's built. And I think, I work in real estate and real estate is the exact same. It's like you can put one house in New York City and you can put one house in the middle of nowhere that has terrible weather and the value, they're literally made out of the exact same tangible thing, but the value is so different, right? It's it's just so, if you really think about it and zoom out and think about it from a higher level, you can really see it's just not linear, you know? It's not just a straight flat line. 1 + 1 = 2. That's really not it.
And it doesn't, because humans have given it subjective value. Like,
That's
we have all entered into this agreement somehow that, like, the US dollar or euro or peso or whatever is worth something.
that's true.
Like, we've created, it's an absolute made up structure.
Yeah, I remember how mind blown you were when we talked about this segment about just money isn't real. Like, what if you just started saying that money isn't real?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no,
time
yeah.
isn't real. It's
The chapter
it's a
one,
construct.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was chapter one. I'm like 2 pages in, and I remember texting you, like, what the hell am I reading? Because I couldn't, like I am right now, like I could not stop laughing, which is such an odd reaction because the whole first few pages are like, money is not real. You log into your bank account, and all you're actually seeing are just numbers on a screen. That's not real money. And then it goes on to describe that the actual amount of physically printed bills, dollars or euros or whatever in the world that's actually backed by gold, which was supposed to be the currency that supported the symbolism of the dollar, is like, I don't know, like what, I can't remember the stat, 30%, like,
A
or maybe
very
less.
small amount.
Very
Everything
small.
else is just what we've all agreed is what it's
Which
worth.
which reminds me, I was so smart when I was 8 years old. I decided I should just print money. Like, I remember thinking, like, why can't we just print more?
We can.
Oh, well, and then they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but that's not where we're going. We're
No, no,
going
no.
into the idea of energy and flow and value, and we would like to share some of the things we've learned and see if we can shift the paradigm for others and invite the conversation with our community.
And I
Go
want
ahead.
to talk about too, like how can you tell if you're in scarcity? Like what are some
Scarcity versus abundance, yeah.
scarcity versus abundance? Because there's the actual tactical money, and like, hey, if you're out there and you've got all the money in the world and you're happy as can be, this podcast is going to give you nothing. But I don't know anybody who's actually like that, who's perfectly balanced with all the money, all the health, and all the happiness. Would like, do you know anybody?
No, I mean, there's like a famous line in a rap song that says, "Mo money, mo problems." So,
More money, more complicated for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
okay, so scarcity, like
Scarcity.
scarcity, that to me, scarcity and abundance is more of the mindset piece. It's how it
Mhm.
feels and when you think about it. And maybe even limiting beliefs, right? Like what are the belief systems that you have? And if you believe that wealth is infinite, money is infinite, right? And not just a limited pie, then scarcity is inherently a limiting belief, right?
Correct. Yeah, and that's why consciousness is tied to wealth, wealth consciousness, around the idea that consciousness is infinity, and so is source, universe, God, all knowing, whatever you want to call, goddess, whatever you want to call the highest of powers, infinite consciousness. There's a cool part of the book that talks about how oceans are all one ocean, but they individuate, and we assign them names. We assign them the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean, and they have different depths. And so then we have this belief or a framework that makes us believe they are different oceans of different depths and they are different. But they really are of all one body of water. And so that as an analogy of consciousness is one flow of abundance. And so everything you could ever possibly want or need and love as the highest frequency of energy of abundance is available to everyone at all points in time, no matter who you are and where you are.
I
Did I
love
just
it.
go way too philosophical?
Woo! We just zoomed all the way out and I love
Yeah, but that's
it.
the like that's a big
That's
part
the
of
big
the
picture.
yeah, that's the big picture. So it's conscious, the wealth consciousness is the idea that if you have that mindset and operate in the being of I am of the infinite, then I can feel wealthy with any at all
Absolutely.
times.
Well, abundance, it's to me, abundance has absolutely nothing to do with money, right? It's
Hmm.
the abundance of love, of friendship, of opportunity, of freedom, of choice, of all the things. And so, this specifically, we're applying abundance around money or career opportunity and or experiences, because I think one of the coolest things about this abundance and wealth consciousness mindset is that you are not just in a race for money. You're in a race for experiences, and experiences can come to you in many different ways, right?
Well, can I just, I wonder if we're in a race.
Well, we're in infinite expansion.
Yeah. So it's like, sorry, I just, that caught me because I try to not feel like I'm in a rat race, but maybe you're saying like, correct me if I am getting this wrong. What I'm wondering is, are our souls who we came here to be in search of experiences versus a race?
So the point of life is to experience life.
Yes, yes. Okay.
And you can experience life as quickly as you allow yourself to.
Okay, okay. That's the race part.
But I think the nuance you're talking about is the urgency mindset that comes
Yes,
from a belief that time is limited
correct.
or
Thank
that
you.
money
Okay.
is limited. Yeah, I hear the nuance. I hear the
Okay.
nuance. Yeah, I'm referring definitely to the race of reaching my highest potential and
Okay.
having the most experiences and living life to the fullest and all of that feeling of like I am here to accept it all as soon as I'm ready for it.
Yes, and to the my highest degree.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, which is why we call this higher downloads because we're really hoping to be receiving that.
Receiving, absolutely receiving. And yeah, you're right, because I think there are a lot of people operating from a, I gotta hurry, I gotta rush, 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 rush. Time is running out, so I have to feel hurried for any of these things, right? Whether it's wealth or material life or whatever it is. But the reality is, time isn't real either, and you can allow things in and receive things as quickly as you'll let it if you'll just let resistance out of the way.
It's so easy to say and it's so hard to do.
It is. It is hard to do sometimes. But yeah, so abundance and letting everything come in, but wealth, I think the coolest part was the wealth is not just about money, right? You can be gifted a trip. You could win a prize for a trip. Like there's many stories about asking for something and letting it come to you in a different way than you expected. Whereas I know for a long time I operated from I have to work hard and earn my way into money so that I can buy myself everything.
Because I don't have inherent value, so I must work to prove my value. So
Yeah,
in that exchange of time, someone will give me money.
that's right. Ooh,
Been
fun.
there, been
Yep,
there.
yep, yep, yep. Isn't that like such a core limiting belief?
It
Like,
is. It is. And I know we're not alone. And yeah, I think that when I started to really shift my understanding around abundance is flowing all around me, there's that idea of like what you look for, you'll find. I see abundance everywhere now. And I'll go into organizations who are really trying to innovate or keep up with now, like especially AI and all whatever the newest technologies are. And there are some organizations that are truly going with the flow and they're curious and they're testing and learning and they've really tapped into this like we can do this. And then I have others who are clamping down and they're restricting the flow and they're so focused on the governance of things. And now I know we need to be safe and secure and think through things and keep people's data safe. I get that absolutely. But I'm talking of it from like the consciousness perspective and how people orient to the idea of flow and learning. And it's so fascinating because I used to teach full time in a business school and I would teach cases like the Kodak case and why the company Kodak almost went out of business and Motorola and Blockbuster. And they're perfect case scenarios where the leaders said, oh, like Kodak, we're the first, some people know this, but the very first digital camera ever to be invented was by an engineer at Kodak. And he was so excited. He showed it to the leaders and he's like, I think we could revolutionize the camera industry. And they freaked out and said, no, we are a film industry. If you create a camera that doesn't need film, we cease to exist.
Mm.
What do you think about that in scarcity versus abundance?
Protecting yourself, not evolving.
Yeah. Do you see that in real estate?
I see it everywhere. I see I see people talk about this a lot in the entrepreneurship space of
Yeah.
like as you're growing. And I think of this is expansion. Like we're talking about conscious expansion and it's true in business too and it's true in your own personal life. And there's phases and what got you from A to B isn't the same thing that's going to get you from B to C. And
Nope.
that can be in your inner work, it can be in your business, it can be in your financial planning, whatever it is, but if you have big dreams, right? If you want to get from somewhere here to much bigger, much different, it doesn't have to be higher. It's not on that kind of scale, but just different, much more expansive. It's like you have to realize there's phases that happen along the way,
Mm.
and you have to be willing to pivot. Like one of the favorite things that you helped me with, and when you were coaching me as your friend, was evolving out loud and being willing to change in real time. You can't get
Mm.
super clinched down like you were saying, and this is the way it is. This is the way it's always been. Those are the people, the businesses, the everything that stays stuck and then don't expand.
Because our egos really love to attach to labels. I am this. So if I change that to other people and they see that, am I a fraud?
Yeah.
And I love in the book it actually talks about trying on jackets, and I just love the idea of a jacket because you don't keep a jacket on all the time, and it's easily removable for that very reason. And so being overly attached to a label, a persona, or a physical item is in and of itself scarcity.
Absolutely. And I mean, real talk, I'm going to be vulnerable in this, but there was many times in my life when I was accumulating wealth where I used that as a safety and security to show like, this is my value. Because
Yeah.
I was able to do this and build this and create this, this is now me showing the world I am worthy. Like I am worthy and I am safe. And the idea then of that being taken away became the source of tension of trying to keep it. And I have heard so many stories in business that that's the exact issue of you make it big, Kodak, you become the big film industry, but you're so worried about keeping it that it's to your downfall.
God, and thank you for sharing that and that vulnerability. That's our hope here. I can't imagine that you're alone, right? And you hit on, I think, probably the one of the we said core beliefs, like a core wound for so many of us is creating our own safety. And yeah, and then it's like it's an illusion of safety. But yeah, it's like look how safe I am. Look at this, look at the numbers in this bank account, or look at this house, or look at these things. Yeah, and it's hard because we're fully immersed into this material world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It is hard because, yeah, it's interesting. And I love this part of the book because it really is a fine balance. And I was thinking about examples of you can have two different people that on the outside, they're operating the exact same way. Like, let's say somebody's ordering a package a week off Amazon, right? And one person is doing it because they're miserable and they're coping and they're like, I need this new gadget, I need this new toy, I need this whatever, I'm filling a hole with this purchase. And then another person is, making purchases that are for fulfilling them for a totally different thing. But on the outside, it looks the same. But the reality is the energy of their internal experience with them are totally different. And I think that's the tricky part about abundance and scarcity is you cannot always tell from the outside if someone's operating from abundance or from scarcity.
No, and in fact, we both have admitted that at different points in our lives, we use the external as proof that we had done better and different than our upbringing, only to realize, oh, there's got to be energetic alignment between mind, body, spirit, or conscious, subconscious, superconscious, and that you can't say like, oh, I absolutely believe I am abundant in so many ways, and be like freaking out and like counting your coins at home as if you're not. And that's back to the key part of being.
Being, yeah, the safety and the security part. But yeah, it's like I definitely know, especially you said more money, more problems, right? Like that's a common joke, but they talk about it in the book, and I know this to be true, that like you have to pay attention to money, but it's just the dance of how obsessive are you about it? Are you giving meaning to it that doesn't need to be there? Value, worthiness, safety, whatever that is. But the reality is you have to look at it. And I have seen so many people on both ends of the spectrum guilty of obsessing over it. And then I've also
Guilty of
seen,
ignoring.
I was going to say, I've also seen people who literally just will not look at it, don't want to learn about it, don't want to think about it. And those to me are like the two polar extremes of scarcity. They're both scarcity, just different manifestations of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're guilty of hiding from it?
Well, personally, from a professional standpoint, I can like dive into books, budget for a company. I've been in charge of many, many budgets, sold and operated millions of dollars, like, and that's not a issue. Where it becomes an issue, because I can do that for someone so easily. But for personal, it you just go back to a lot of your early programming, your childhood. How did your parents or other people in your community orient to money? And so when we didn't have enough, I mean, I have a famous for me, like this story that I remember going to the mall and seeing a friend walk out of a store with a big bag Doc Martens. Like they've made a comeback, but Doc Martens are the big shoe, and I think they were like $110 or $120 back then. Definitely
Pricey.
over $100.
Yeah.
And she was walking out with her mom with the bag, and she had just bought Doc Martens. And I was going to the mall, and I was walking into the same store with a $20 bill that I had earned with babysitting to go put a payment on layaway for the Doc Martens that I wouldn't get for several months. And so just that is seared in my memory of some people have and some people don't have. And I am very blessed. I'm very fortunate. I have broken many cycles. I'm the first in my family to get a college degree, get a job, like plus a PhD, all the things. And I've done many things, and I've really gotten to a point where I'm so proud and happy, and proud of myself. But it was like, well, at one point I didn't have it. So why am I going to obsess over it now? Maybe that's the.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that from the sense of we do live in a world that has a lot of extremes, and then comparison is a reality, right? We're in late stage capitalism here in America. So we have lots of extremely wealthy people and still a lot of people that literally are trying to put food on the table. And the thing about money is in material world, you can't escape comparison because it's all in front of you, right? In that scenario, you're seeing, why is this so easy for them? Why does this feel so hard for me? Or why do they have so much? Why do I have so little? And us being meaning making machines as humans, we're trying to piece that together and figure out what's the difference.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. And the energy behind it. Like, so, yeah, yeah. But it didn't mean that, like, if you counted the money, money was more scarce for
Yes.
us. But I've come to understand a scarcity mindset, a orientation to the world versus abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shifting to the abundance side, how does it feel whenever you're in abundance? What are some things that you either experience or feel or notice even in others? Like what does abundance look and feel like?
Well, I just had this like moment of like abundance just now. I was like, oh my God, I'm recording a podcast with a friend who's just so beautiful inside and out. And like, I'm talking about hardship from my life. And that feels so abundant to me. Like, that's just so cool. And I recently had an experience just where I realized I'd been asking the universe for a bigger, larger group of women just doing their work. I wanted to just feel immersed and like held in this beautiful community. And all of a sudden, I was looking at my phone recently. I'm like, all the texts I have are from women who are doing their work and like being invited to these, like, and just feeling so abundant in friendship, abundant in experience. I'm really grateful that we have money in a sense that we just took a vacation. We're going to go on another one very soon. So abundant in experiences, abundant in friendship. And what does that feel like? It feels like a high vibration. It feels infinite. It feels joy. It feels like joy.
Boy, the feeling I got when you talked about that was just full, like
Full.
full, like overflowing with just like warm fullness.
Yes, warm fullness. Yes.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. Yes.
What
A,
about you? Any
abu-
any addition to warm fullness?
well, abundance to me is that feeling of unlimited expansion. Like if I'm thinking about anything and can I think about it and there's literally no end, there's no blockers. Like I think the concept of having no limiting beliefs. It's like I can do anything. I can be anything. I could meet anyone. I could create anything I want. Just like that to me feels like the removal of any limits or boundaries. And then feeling called towards that thing and not stopping yourself. And that
Mm.
literally could apply to anything. Like, obviously, from a place of like feeling full in love. But when I can look at a topic and feel that way about it, I know I'm operating from a place of abundance.
Yes, same. And it reminds me of a word, potentiality, that
Hmm.
I can't remember if it's specifically in the book, but potentiality. And I taught entrepreneurship. We are both entrepreneurs. And I think that's something I've been obsessed with as a child. What is the potential of something? And I was thinking about that, like the oak tree is already in the acorn. The lily is already in the bulb. And
Mm.
and then you said the key thing, not stopping myself.
Yes.
Like the
Allowing
acorn's not like,
creation.
right, like can you imagine the little 2 inch acorn, like little sprout popping up like above the ground and being like looking up at the mighty oak and just being like, damn,
Well, think about
I'm just never gonna be like, I might as well stop now. Like,
stop
what?
trying. I'll never be a giant tree.
Oh,
I
when will
think
birds land in
even
my branches?
totally. And an even more epic example that you often reference is the butterfly,
Mm,
because it goes into the chrysalis and it literally transforms. It's not that there's something that's already small, a little seed in there or something, but like it literally creates something totally different and just has faith to do it, which abundance to me is faith and belief and action, follow through if you want it. Actually, no, I think abundance is that faith and manifestation is if you tie it together with action.
if you tie it together with action, the alignment, this uncertainty is a big part of the book. But that butterfly, same thing. The butterfly exists in the caterpillar, right? When it comes out of the larva. But what the butterfly, what the caterpillar has to do is allow itself to disintegrate so that the wings and stuff can form. And how often, as humans, with our egos and our fears and all the things in this funny little life, that we have all this potentiality. We have wealth consciousness all around us. The energy is flowing all around us, and we're like, no, I'm not worthy.
Okay, I gotta bring this to a real tangible example because I work in real estate and we raise private investor capital for deals, and
Yeah,
I see this all the time. I talk to
I
people
bet.
all the time about actually taking action, putting money into something, or how are they investing their money. And it
Mhm.
is so interesting how many people have money, have collected money, and are like, yes, I'm going to invest it freely. Let's all make money together. I'm going to trust in you. We're going to move forward. We're going to create something from nothing. There's that abundance energy. And then so many people reach out, are interested, have the conversation, want to talk about it, are excited about it, but they just can't pull the trigger for many different reasons. But I'm
Yeah.
just sitting there going, oh, I feel you stopping yourself. I feel you hitting your wall or your limit. And that happens every day in so many different examples, not just making big money moves, right? It could be something so simple too. But it's that
What is that?
same energy.
Yeah, what does that feel like? I don't think I've ever asked you that. What does that feel like when you're with someone and you can feel it that they're stopping themselves, do you feel like you need to enter saleswoman mode? Or are you entering your own flow and being like how, what does that feel like?
Well, I this is why I would never really be a good salesperson. And maybe that's why I'm a great salesperson. I don't know. But I cannot. I am not in the business of trying to change anyone's mind, especially not through any form of manipulation. But I will say, like, that is part of why I created the book club and the Abundance Circle and why I talk so much about money and really love, I enjoy talking about money. And part of it is like, I love seeing people expand. Like, I love helping facilitate and create with people to allow to feel that trust and expansion. That is joyful for me.
Hmm.
And when all I say is, I'm here, I'll make this a safe space. Like, women obviously in our culture don't spend a lot of time talking about money. It's not common. And so part of what I do and what I love what I do is I just want to be the safe space for people to feel it out, try it out, and when they're ready, they'll do it. But it's not my job to push anyone or really care about changing somebody's mind. If they're ready, they're ready. If they're not, it's not the right time.
Yeah. And there's a whole reason why women don't feel comfortable. I mean, it was actually just before we were born or I was born that women could even get a credit card in their own name or start a business. So money and the restriction of money has been used for control for
Absolutely.
women, people of color, in lots of different places. So I just want to, we don't need to go there. I just like want to like put a little asterisk next, I can't ever say that word, a little footnote there of like, it's not like a shaming moment. We're
Absolutely
acknowledging
not.
though that there's been a lot of cultural reasons that makes it
The
harder.
cultural pressure for women has been huge, but it is shifting, especially in different pockets of industry, right? People that
Yep.
are
Yep.
making intention. There's a lot of women out there talking about money, making money moves, doing really cool stuff. So if that calls to you, come to the dark side. It's really fun.
Well, you said joy. You said it's so joyful for me to see people expand, and joy multiplies everything, which is one of the reasons we were like the absolute core pillar of us even just doing a podcast is just for us to have fun.
Absolutely.
Like, so this in and of itself is its own form of wealth creation, just to feel abundant in connection or,
Totally.
yeah.
Having fun, yeah. And I think too, on operating in abundance, it always feels fun. I've never done anything where I felt truly abundant and was like, that sucked.
I know. I just realized I'm like, how could they coexist? I'm even trying to think like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, unless you still have resistance, right? Or you still
Mm.
have stories, but you're still operating, which there was a whole phase of my journey where I was taking actions that were making me uncomfortable because I knew that it was what I needed to do, but it still happened, right? So it's not like even taking action or operating in abundance means you just feel 100% free and happy. It can still feel hard, but that can still be part of the progress.
Yeah, yeah. And I think from like some practical standpoint, so if we have people listening who this is the first time they're really understanding wealth consciousness or they're curious to learn more, I'd love to share some things that we each do. We've done this before where we share a little bit about our practices that can maybe get them going. And one for me is gratitude as a form of magnetism. And so, how appreciation for what I have, friendship, love, food, enjoyment, like those things, and just truly not just saying it, not like, oh, like there are all these things floating around. Write down three things you're grateful for and like everything will change. Feeling it, like feeling the gratitude and being like, I am the luckiest woman in the world, and feeling that gratitude in my body. Like right now, I'm feeling it while I'm speaking, like that law of attraction of it just attracting more of what you love, just being like a very simple but real tool that's helped me. Is there?
That was going to be my number one thing. That was
Oh,
what I was
okay.
going to start with. It's totally true. Gratitude. And years ago, someone told me about this thing. It's called the 5 minute journal. And it has prompts morning and night. And it's just to get you in the habit. Because I agree, you have to start in the habit of even thinking, what am I grateful for, before you can operate daily with it. And after doing it repetitively, however many days it takes you to make a habit, if you can get in that, that is a huge game changer. Because then you just look at your whole day, your whole life differently if you're looking at what you're grateful for, not just what's a problem or what's
Hmm.
annoying or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that just reminds me of the part of the book, like the part of wealth consciousness that's was tough for me to wrap my brain around. I have since, but the idea of wanting something so much, like
Mhm.
I really want this shoe, this type of vacation, house with a pool. Like in that, like I want that so bad. The air of that has a sense of lack because
Mhm.
I don't have it. And so I am yearning so deeply for something that what I'm feeling and what I'm giving off is help me out. It's like, it's scarcity, right? It's like
Yeah, so I think the difference in word choice was desire versus want.
want. Yes.
Desire is different, has slightly different connotation of like I just desire it. It feels rich and like happy and exciting. Wanting is a little bit of I want it, but I can't have it.
The
Or it's
wanting
hard.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, because the focus is it's absent right now.
Yes, because it's not here. That's right. I want it because it's not here. So, yeah, I think another thing to add to the list, gratitude's a big one, but to add to the list of what are some things you can do is really defining what you actually desire. You can't really move with intention if you don't really know what you're wishing and hoping and desiring to create for yourself. So if
Hmm.
you don't have a list of like, what's my purpose in life or what's my goal in 5 years or 10 years, just you got to have something tangible that you can hold in your vision of this is what I want to create.
Yeah, and then and hold in the vision and hold in the feeling in your body of what it feels like to have that. Like, right? To feel it in your body as if you already have it. And that was the part that was a hard thing to wrap my brain around was like, wait, I was told always like write your goal and what you want, but then I had to realize that that gap in not having and the absence of it was only attracting was not attracting it.
Yeah. Write down what you want and then go get it. Go work for it. Not write down what you want and let it come to you and let it be received and magnetize it, right? Totally
Yeah.
different energies.
And what does it feel like like having that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So clarity is a big one, like you were saying. We've done
Clarity.
vision boards.
Yes, that's what
Um,
I was going to say next is community. Having actually someone you can talk about it, create vision boards with, share your lists or dreams with. Creating is an energy exchange, and community and connection is an energy exchange. Giving and receiving between people about this is going to amplify that feeling of abundance and having people in your life that are also abundant. If you're interacting with someone and they have a lot of scarcity, maybe put that down with them.
yeah,
It's going to
the
be hard to create from that.
because you're in the swimming pool of scarcity. If the people around you are feeling that way, it's really hard to shift your being, your vibration, your energy in that
Absolutely.
space. Yeah. Okay.
All
Oh,
right.
and oh wait, sorry, vision boards. I was gonna say we also had a friend show us that there's all this like cool, fun, even free software out there where you can almost make your own little movie
Yes.
where you can imagine like what your life really does look like on a yacht
Yes,
or whatever.
visuals bring it together. Okay, and also just read Happy Pocket Full of Money. I mean, that's it literally hits on dozens, if not hundreds, of different things, activities, shifts, tweaks, ways of thinking about things that can just help you reframe how others or how this concept is laid out to help you on your journey.
Yeah, and I'll say from someone who was resistant to reading the book, there were some parts where were harder to get through, like quantum physics. Why am I learning about quantum physics? Here I was not even wanting to read about money, and now Katie's making me read this book about with a chapter on quantum physics. But stick with it. It is fascinating because if you can really shift your paradigm to understand that is how the world works, it's fun. It's fun to play with. It's fun to shift the paradigm. It's fun to be in abundance. It's really fun.
It is. It is. Creation mode is joy. So, this is so fun. I'm glad we're talking about money and we're not shying away from it. We got a little bit vulnerable here and talked about some real life, old wounds and old stories that we're working on, definitely not healed from. So, reach out. I want to hear from you guys listening on what practices do you use, what makes you feel abundant, and if anything shifts for you and you change it, let us know. We want to know what you're doing.
We do. Like, what other tips do you have? What other resources? What does it feel like for you? What does wealth consciousness and abundance feel like? Let's share. That's actually part of the abundance. So until next time,
Till next time.
higher downloads.
You just experienced another higher download. We are so grateful you joined us on this journey.
Yep. So if you're feeling that high vibe energy and want more, subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode.
And if this episode sparks something in you, we'd be over the moon if you'd share it with someone who might need this download too.
Yep. Connect with us on Instagram at Higher Downloads, where we share more behind the scenes magic and some bonus content.
You can also find full episodes, transcripts, show notes, and resources at higherdownloads.com.
Until next time, trust your downloads and keep vibrating higher.